We start by telling you that the chairman of political parties in Lagos have called for greater collaboration, integrity and inclusiveness as a way to engender citizen participation and boost voter confidence in the electoral process. They spoke at a political dialogue organized by New Central Television on Thursday ahead of local government elections in Lagos slated for July 12. George Ashiru of the Africa Democratic Congress emphasized that politics is about forming alliances, not campaigning outside election seasons. Echoing the need for balance, Ronnie D. Kokila of the New Nigeria's People's Party criticized Nigeria's winner-takes-all approach and stressed the importance of a strong opposition similar to the U.S. system.
I think it's a big phrase to say that the allegations are that there are some parties that are fronting for other parties. It may be something that could end up being litigated, so maybe we should avoid that kind of general statement. However, politics is about collaborations and alliances. So where there could be some parties that have decided they want to collaborate with another party for whatever reason, maybe they don't have a strong enough candidate, maybe they don't have enough funds to run their campaign. I'm not speaking on their behalf, but I'm just want to make sure that facts and opinions are separated. But let's go back to the original issue that you raised about when people disappear. Politics is electioneering, and then after there's governance. So you can't continue campaigning when there's no election. So the people that are contesting spend money time, they go on the media, they are doing all manners of politicking. As soon as elections are over, if you don't win, what happens? You know, you don't just start campaigning, so to speak, because you're no longer a candidate. So it's not left with the parties to now begin to imbibe within themselves proper internal democracies to prepare for the next election. In politics, one has to be careful to differentiate between allegations and facts. And I'm speaking generally on behalf of political parties. I am also establishing the fact that there is nothing wrong when parties that have similar ideologies decide to pick a particular candidate to support. There's nothing wrong. There's nothing intrinsically wrong about it. But it is what is important is this the will of the people in the party? That's what matters the most. As long as that is the case, then those sort of alliances will occur. That we have them in parliamentary societies as well, where parties come together to form government. And I think this is actually what we need to do more of. Why should we have single party states, one party rule, when there are parties that collaborate to help govern? That's a question that I would also like to throw out to everyone else.
It's true that during elections, you see all the political parties. And after elections, it's like you don't get to hear about them anymore. And that was why I said, I'm going to take it from where it stopped. It's like the winner takes it all. But the thing is this, the Nigerian situation is just a pity that we are the way we are. If you look at America, for instance, Donald Trump is there as the president, and he came up with all manners of policies that opposition is against. But you see, even the common man on the street is out there protesting that, look, we will not accept this. You have to abide by the Constitution. But Nigeria is a different ballgame altogether. In Nigeria, borrowing his phrase, the winner takes it all, that is what we're experiencing. During electioneering, you see people, the political parties, they make all efforts to be heard. They become very visible during elections. After elections, they disappear.
Okay,
why?
Let me interject and ask if you think...
Phillips Ivoji of the People's Democratic Party urged parties to field candidates with integrity, warning that those in power often use their positions to suppress others. Labour Party's Dayo Ekong pointed out that 65% of their supporters are youths. She condemned political segregation and declared the party will no longer remain silent on issues of inequality.
How political party is handled in Lagos State by those in power, the people who are in government, right from AD to several parties up to this time. You will see that from the onset, we are supposed to bring up good people for election, people that have integrity, the people that respect the rule of law, the people that what is up to be presented. But what we observe in this state is that when you get to power, you do everything. You don't mind how far you will go to oppress other political parties in every way. You oppress them. They cannot even have free. If some of us are not.
Lagos State is a one-party state, as far as I'm concerned, because we all, especially in Labour Party, during the last election, we know what we experienced in this Lagos State. And even after election, that you expect that they assume they won and they are ruling.
Still on politics, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar said the coalition to unseat President Bola Tinubu in 2027 is gaining momentum, with plans underway to adopt a strong political platform for good governance. Atiku made the remarks during a meeting with national opinion leaders in Abuja and reaffirmed them on his verified X handle, likening the coalition to a fast-moving train, welcoming Nigerians from all backgrounds. He revealed that leaders from the APC, PDP, Labour Party and others have united under the Sabo Tafiya movement, aiming not just for electoral victory but national transformation. Atiku also warned citizens against accepting financial inducements from politicians and has continued to rally support with allies like Nasir El-Rufai and Dele Momodu backing the campaign to end Tinubu's presidency in 2027. Now, the House of Representatives Ad-Hoc Committee on Rivers State Oversight on Thursday indefinitely postponed its summons for a meeting with the sole administrator of Rivers State, retired Vice Admiral Ibok-Ete Ibas. A statement issued on Thursday by the spokesman of the House of Representatives, Akin Rotimi, revealed that the postponement followed a formal request from the sole administrator for the rescheduling of the session, which had been initially scheduled to hold at 4 p.m. West African time on Thursday, April 17. The committee is chaired by the House leader, Professor Julius Ihonvbere. It had invited the sole administrator to deliberate on the way forward following the suspension of democratic governance in Rivers State by President Bola Tinubu on March 18, 2025. Now, women under the banner of Rivers Women Unite for SIM are accusing the Rivers State sole administrator, Rear Admiral Ibok-Ete Ibas, of dictatorial tendencies. The women, all clad in red clothing, marched around Port Harcourt City and made a stop at the Rivers State Government House, chanting, "We want SIM," and calling for the removal of the Rivers State Commissioner of Police. The Central's Piola Festus tells us more in this report.
With their mouths gagged and their hands bound with white clothing, displaying a symbol of bondage, these Rivers women say they have been enslaved in their own land. They took to the streets of Port Harcourt in protest to register their grievances against the emergency rule in Rivers State.
Governor Ihonvbere must be returned back to his elected position. Even the president made that clear by his statement that he is coming back, and we believe he is coming back. The concern I personally have is that when is he coming back? We don't want him to come back when they have made illegal changes that will be difficult for him to govern. It still amounts to making the state ungovernable for him.
The state of emergency is not necessary. We are appealing to our president to bring back our governor, Amopu Senebo Simnala Ihonvbere Joseph. He should bring him back. The injustice is too much.
God should touch the president to return back our governor, because our Rivers State has been in a peaceful environment. Our governor is a peaceful, lovely man. He has never instigated any problem.
Nobody is fighting, even at the height of provocation. How is it that it is only in Rivers State that you suspended democracy? How is it that it is only in Rivers State that you're saying that our governor, the person that we went to the polls to elect, should no longer sit in Government House. They claimed that rather than fostering peace and reconciliation among the warring political stakeholders in Rivers State, the sole administrator, Ibok-Ete Ibas, has further deepened the divide.
The continuous actions of the imposed sole administrator, Vice Admiral Ibok-Ete Ibas, retired, have clearly exposed the ulterior and politically motivated intentions behind this so-called emergency rule. Nearly 1 month after assuming control, rather than fostering reconciliation among the political stakeholders, Vice Admiral Ibas has deepened the divide. His actions and dismantling democratic institutions and orchestrating policies aimed at achieving political domination serve only the interests of those who appointed him.
The women demanded the removal of Rivers State Commissioner of Police, CP Olugbenga Adepoju, accusing him of bias in handling the recent protests. They alleged that the CP favored pro-wicked demonstrators while treating pro-Fubara supporters with hostility.
On Friday, April 11th, 2025, we held a peaceful protest against the injustice meted out to our state. Shockingly, the police responded with force, deploying tear gas and brute intimidation in the bid to silence our democratic rights to peaceful assembly. Just this Monday, women protesting against the emergency rule in Ihonvbere were again tear gassed and brutalized, while another group of women who sang praises of the emergency rule were shielded and escorted by the police. We therefore demand the following without equivocation. 1. The immediate removal of the Rivers State Commissioner of Police. The full restoration of all democratic institutions, including the restatement of the duly elected governor.
Protests by Rivers women who are clamoring for the reinstatement of suspended Governor Siminalayi Fubara has become a weekly ritual, calling on the president to reverse the emergency rule declaration in Rivers State. In Port Harcourt for News Central, Biola Festus.
And away from that, after about 3 months in detention, a magistrate court in Apapa has freed the 17-year-old minor Alabi Quadri, who went viral over the 2023 general elections for standing in front of the convoy of former Labour Party presidential candidate Peter Obi. Magistrate Adetola Olorunfemi freed him following the legal advice of the Director of Public Prosecutions, Dr. Babajide Martins. The magistrate confirmed that the legal advice issued by the DPP showed that there was no evidence to substantiate the allegation of armed robbery against Quadri. In his legal advice, the DPP recommended the non-prosecution of Quadri and another defendant, Juan Moise Animashaun. Quadri and Animashaun were standing trial alongside 3 others for the offense of armed robbery. The DPP, in its advice, however, recommended that a prima facie case had been made against against other 3 defendants, and they should proceed to stand trial.
Going on, some people from the same community have been mobilized to come here and distort what is going on. If anybody is attacked, if anybody is hurt in this place, I want the media to take note of the people that are coming here to cause issues. If they have anything to say, I expect them to come here and speak to the media. If they can bring their hostility to court, you can only imagine what they will do to this family. If anything happens to this family, the boys who are here, who think they can cause trouble, but they should know we have taken note of their faces, and nobody has monopolies to cause crisis. So let them be careful that nothing should happen to Quadri, nothing should happen to his mother, nothing should happen to his sister or any member of his family.
In February, we organized a football match between Kirikiri inmates and Twitter influencers. So we got to know about one guy. That was there. He was owing the sum of 1.2 million naira, and that was why he was locked up. So after we helped that guy leave prison, he told us about Quadri, and that was how we started. We're here last month on the 28th. Well, the case was adjourned till 28th of this month. It was supposed to come back 28th, but due to his own work and influence, the case was brought forward to today, and thankfully.
And so we have the picture that is, of course, you can see it on your screen, the picture that threw Quadri Alabi into national limelight as he rose from a little-known Nigerian teenager to provide one of the most iconic symbols of the 2023 election campaign, in which the Labour Party candidate Peter Obi arrested the popular imagination of many young Nigerians in their quest for a departure from the political old guard. Moving on now, still in Lagos anyway, for the second time in less than 8 weeks, traders at the Agidingbi Mechanic Village in Ikeja area of Lagos are groaning over loss of their means of livelihood due to another round of demolition of their business premises. The premises, which shelters over 5,000 auto mechanics, traders and artisans, was pulled down on Thursday. At the time of this report, it was unclear the legal rights and the authorities involved in the demolition exercise. The traders say they have operated for decades under an agreement that their structures are temporary, but are surprised by the sudden notice, which was followed by a demolition exercise. Their major concern was not being given sufficient time to relocate their businesses before eviction. Many thanks for being there. Now, the Nigerian Army has appointed Lieutenant Colonel Onyechi Anele as the Acting Director of Army Public Relations, making her the first woman to hold the position. Anele, a member of Direct Regular Course 15 and a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, will officially assume her new role on April 22, 2025. She takes over from Major General Onyema Umachukwu, who has been redeployed to the Nigerian Army Heritage and Future Center. Before her appointment, Anele completed a 6-month strategic course at the Nigerian Army Resource Center and was posted to the Department of Civil Military Relations. She also previously served as Public Relations Officer in the Office of the Chief of Army Staff, gaining valuable experience in military communications and public affairs. Let's talk about Nigeria's blue economy. Now, it is set to be encompassing its vast coastline and abundant maritime resources, and it holds significant potential for sustainable economic growth and job creation. The blue economy includes sectors like fisheries, maritime transportation, tourism, and renewable energy, offering opportunities to boost food security, reduce poverty, and enhance overall development. New Central's maritime correspondent, Nneoma Obiaswalu, looks at why these huge potential and economic benefits are left untapped.
Nigeria, situated along the Gulf of Guinea in West Africa, boasts of a vast coastline that stretches over 853 kilometers, 220 nautical miles, and encompasses a maritime territory abundant with untapped potential worth $296 billion. With the Naira exchange today, the value of Nigeria's maritime assets is many times bigger than her budget of 2025 at 54.99 trillion naira. As Nigeria seeks to diversify its economy and leverage its natural resources, harnessing its maritime assets should be treated as a pivotal agenda for 2025. How then can the huge potential of Nigeria's blue economy be explored and ensure its sustainability?
The issue of harnessing the blue economy is a very germane now in order to ensure that we have we move from the mono economy and to the multiple economy. The first thing first, the issue of policy. We must develop policies that can stimulate the investment in the blue economy, because by the nature of blue economy, it's not something that government can drive or invest. The private investors must come in either locally in Nigeria or internationally. Number one. Number two, we have to develop the infrastructure, first of all, because the foreign investors must be able to see the availability of the infrastructure. The second things we need to do is to develop data. What do we have in place? Is it fishing? what is the availability and where, what type of the fishing activity. The renewable energy, we have to look at that one. The issue of recreational facilities in terms of marine tourism, we have to also develop that. The wind energy, all this, we must be able to develop data so that it will guide the foreign investors.
The numbers don't lie, as the maritime sector itself is rich with data evidencing both its challenges and potentials that is capable of generating over 7 trillion naira annually and creating over 350 million jobs.
These things are already there. I just believe it's an issue of implementation. And I believe that because people do not see it so clearly, there's not a lot of focus on it. I mean, I can assure you that if government policy is in the right direction, basically implementation-wise. I mean, we already have the fisheries department, and I mean, I don't see why Nigeria itself cannot set up fishing terminals. You know, like they have in countries like in Gambia and in Ghana. You know, where fish comes in and then it is processed and whatever is needed for. Those are things that Nigeria needs to do. Nigeria is not even taking that step. So we need to begin to take the step forward, and it is those kind of steps that, when people see you take the steps, then investors come in. You cannot then expect an investor to come and take the initial step of setting up the infrastructure. You need to set up the infrastructure, and then they need to build on that infrastructure because they can basically see a good return on investment. We have over a billion people in Africa that needs to be fed. And I believe very strongly, especially in the fishery areas, if Nigeria focuses on those areas, that is going to be a major means of protein, not only for Nigerians, but also will support the African Free Trade Agreement by providing foods to every African.
The industry awaits the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Adegboyega Oyetola's maritime policy, penned for approval by the Federal Executive Council, which is expected to create a sustainable path for economic growth in various maritime sectors, including fisheries, aquaculture, renewable energy, tourism, transport, and seabed mining, as harnessing its various aspects is Africa's ticket to a sustainable economic prosperity. In Lagos, for News Central, Norma Obiaswalo.
Abia State government is proposing to establish a train station in Umuahia in the same facility for the bus terminal. The government presented its plan to the managing director of Nigeria Railway Corporation, who was in Abia State on a familiarization tour since assuming office. News Central's Chumogele has more in this report.
While the federal government concentrates on extending the national lines to the various parts of the country, Abia State government focuses on organization of the sectors of the economy. Governor Alex Oti wants the federal government to relocate the train station into a state facility for ease in public transportation and aesthetics.
People want to move around, sell their wares, do businesses. We felt that it was important to replicate what we have elsewhere, not necessarily in Oshodi. Actually, we were thinking of Paddington in the UK. Paddington never sleeps. By 4 a.m. you have people moving left, right, and that is business. That's so that's the kind of thing we want to introduce into Umuahia.
General Manager of Umuahia Capital Development Authority, Kingsley Agomor, explains the reasons behind the plan.
It will enhance multimodal transportation as passengers can easily switch between trains and buses. It will save time for travelers by eliminating long walks or extra trips between terminals.
The managing director of the Nigeria Railway Corporation, Kayode Opeifa, says the management will take a look at the proposal and advises the state government to adopt a measure he proposed to benefit the people.
We want to make sure that every state that has a national line passing through enjoys rail. You don't have to be standard gauge or whatever. Once the national rail passes through your corridor, we'll make sure we put a train movement.
He says the rail, as the cheapest means of transportation, will help reduce the prices of goods and services.
We want to revitalize all our rail corridors so that they can add value to the economy.
An Umuahia resident, Emeka Chibu, applauds the state government's plan, saying it is achievable.
The state government is trying to organize the state capital, to give it, that modern fit, that modern look, the smart city approach. So it's a question of understanding. It can be achieved. If the federal government, the national and the subnational can meet and agree that this is for development. After all, Abia is part of Nigeria.
Upon completion, this facility will serve dual purpose. While the one being constructed behind me will be the new train station. The one just by my far right, left here, beg your pardon, will be the bus terminal in Umuahia for New Central, Chinwe Ugele.
Mental health has long been a neglected issue in Nigeria, often overshadowed by more visible health challenges. And despite global discourses around mental health becoming more common, services remain underfunded, misunderstood, and unavailable to millions of Nigerians. In this report, New Central's correspondent Aishat Saliu speaks with mental health advocates on the importance and strategies for providing support to persons with mental health disorders in the country.
With a population over 200 million, Nigeria's mental health crisis is a silent epidemic that has been exacerbated by social stigma, economic hardship, underfunding, brain drain, dearth of mental health facilities, inadequate treatment infrastructure, amongst others. Data from the World Health Organization says that over 75% of persons with mental health disorders are in low and middle-income countries and receive no treatment at all, while depression and anxiety are among the most widespread mental health conditions in Nigeria. Available data says that 1 in 4 citizens will experience a mental health disorder at some point in their lives, with depression, anxiety, and substance abuse as its most common manifestations. With this in mind, experts are calling for more action on bridging the mental health care gap.
I did a research. I know a lot of people are on YouTube several hours watching films, watching bloggers, social media 4 or 5 hours. So I thought, okay, 1 or 2 hour session with all these great professionals will not be too bad. Was why we created that idea, and also add the mental health first aid training to enable people get more education and awareness about mental health treatment.
While many admit that mental health disorders are complex and often arise from a combination of biological, psychological, and social factors, they say government must play a fundamental role in visible closing gaps in the treatment and accessibility of proper mental health care.
Stable emotion is important for the government. Even the government need to involve all their ministers, all their NDGs, so that they will know how to treat people better. See, people are depressed, and they bring that depression into the service, and it affects the whole thing, the whole entire state, the entire country.
There's a need for the government to pay attention to change agents, to catalysts like myself, who are trying to make a change and work in collaboration. Number 2, to provide the support that is needed, the resources that are needed. And 3, to continue to empower us for more networking within their parastatal and the community.
Data from 2017 states that approximately 7 million Nigerians experienced manifestations of depression. Also, another 4.9 million people experienced anxiety disorders, with just about 300 psychiatrists serving the entire population, far below the WHO recommended ratio of 1 psychiatrist per 10,000 people. It is clearly evident that more investment in providing infrastructure and personnel to help upscale mental health care treatment is needed in the country. In Abuja, for News Central, Aishat Salihu.
In Northeast Africa, precisely in Sudan, over 8,000 people were reported missing in 2024, according to the International Committee of the Red Cross. The organization says that number may only scratch the surface of the true scale of the crisis. Daniel Omadi, head of the ICRC's delegation in Sudan, said those are just the cases the agency has directly recorded, calling the situation a tip of the iceberg. Ongoing conflict and displacement have made it difficult to track the full extent of those unaccounted for. The Red Cross is urging greater humanitarian access and support to help locate missing persons and reunite families as the nation continues to grapple with one of the world's most severe humanitarian emergencies.
And we've seen that it continues, and it's been continuing across the country. It would be difficult to say it's really in this part or this part, but I think the very worrying thing and the very concerning is that it's almost being used almost in a, I wouldn't say a systematic manner, but I mean the incidence is even higher than we've seen in other conflicts. And one thing also which I wanted to highlight is that we're seeing cases obviously of women, but also of children, very young children, and even men. Is that even if tomorrow all the parties involved, they sign a peace treaty and peace comes to Sudan, the effects, the humanitarian consequences, the emotional consequences will go on for a long time. And this is also something we need to be prepared for. It's not just the emergency response, but how can we already start looking into the longer term effects of sexual violence and other humanitarian consequences.
In a surprising announcement, former Democratic Republic of Congo President Joseph Kabila announced that he will be returning to the country. Reports suggest that he may arrive through the conflict-ridden eastern region in an area that has long been plagued by violence and instability. Kabila served as president from 2001 until 2019, before his legacy was marked by allegations of human rights abuses and political repression during his tenure. News Central's Wangani Ciziba tells us more in this package.
Republic of Congo former President Joseph Kabila recently announced his imminent return to his country, citing his deep concern for the escalating violence in the eastern region, an area he describes as being in critical danger.
We are ready to work, honestly work for peace, actively work for peace, and that was our attitude 22 years ago when we came to Sun City and signed the agreement. Our attitude today, being much more informed, is definitely to stand up again and be on the move.
The Eastern DRC has been plagued by violence for many years, with armed groups like M23, which some say it's backed by Rwanda, claims which President Paul Kagame has declined. However, there have been series of protests, DRC citizens calling out Rwanda to back off.
African leaders, we are dying. Have mercy on us. Come and join together. And my message to Kagame, what I'm saying is, I'm the one who's gonna come and take Kagame out where he is. That is what I'm saying. From today, you will see me, Kagame.
Meanwhile, former President Kabila claims to have national interest at heart. However, allegations persist that he may have ties to this very group M23. While former President Kabila's return may spark hope, for some it's fear. I had an opportunity to speak with a group of Congolese citizens currently living in exile in South Africa. Let's hear their thoughts on this political comeback.
He's a traitor for Congo. He's the one behind even the movement of 23 movement, but nowadays we know that Kabila is the one behind or what is happening in the eastern part of Congo.
He noticed that his intention is not to come back for peace. He's coming back for war.
While the former president has denied any involvement with the M23 group, the question remains, can he truly unite a nation so fractured by years of conflict?
But Kabila is there to support the rebels to kill again people in Congo, which is very, very bad.
as a former president.
He must work together with President Tshisekedi to bring peace for all those people who are killed every day. We are not happy to see our friend, our Congolese citizens dying every day because of the minerals. It's not right.
As the DRC crisis deepens, the coming days will be critical. In Johannesburg, for News Central, Bongani Siziba.
And away from Central Africa to West Africa, Ivory Coast's main opposition party, the PDCI, has voted to nominate Tidjane Thiam as its presidential candidate for the October 2025 election. Thiam, a former minister and international banker, has been the sole contender and has received strong backing despite controversy over his dual citizenship. He confirmed renouncing his French citizenship to meet eligibility requirements, a move the PDCI defended amid legal challenges. Thousands of party members participated in Wednesday's votes, geared towards solidifying Thiam's legitimacy ahead of a tense electoral season. The PDCI, out of power for 25 years, expressed optimism about reclaiming leadership, while experts warn that Thiam remains relatively unknown to many Ivorians. Tensions have escalated, with rallies spreading across cities and key political figures barred from contesting. Outside of Africa, we tell you that Canada's main election candidates have given remarks following the first debate of the campaign ahead of the April 28 votes. Prime Minister Mark Carney, who succeeded Justin Trudeau on March 14, has avoided major missteps during the French language debate, despite concerns over his fluency. Carney, leading the Liberal Party, faced sustained attacks from Conservative leader Pierre Poulouve, but has gradually appeared more confident during the event. Carney reiterates that his economic expertise makes him the best candidate to counter U.S. President Donald Trump's aggressive trade policies. He said Canada must respond decisively. Poulouve, a fluent French speaker, however, pledged to put Canada first while blaming Liberal leadership for past economic vulnerabilities. Other candidates, including NDP's Jagmeet Singh and Bloc Québécois leader Yves-François Blanchet, also participated, though polls have shown a tightening two-party race.
One of the differences, there are many, but one of the differences between the two of us goes to the question I was just asked, which is I put much more emphasis on the economy, on growing the economy. In fact, in this circumstance that we're in, given the scale of the crisis and what needs to be done, I would say a relentless focus on growing the economy to work for all Canadians.
Well, what I have said is when there is a crime involved, including crimes of vandalism, that visitors to Canada should be deported. You simply can't come here and firebomb a Jewish bakery or someone's home or smash windows out of a political riot and expect to stay in this.
Russian President Vladimir Putin has pledged to do everything to secure the release of all hostages held in the Israel-Hamas conflict. Putin made the promise during a meeting with a Russian-Israeli citizen who was freed by Hamas in February. He attributed the hostages release to Russia's long-standing ties with the Palestinian people and expressed gratitude to Hamas's political leadership. The Kremlin has maintained communication with all parties involved in the ongoing conflict, positioning itself as a mediator. Putin's remarks highlight Moscow's continued engagement in Middle East diplomacy amid global efforts to end the war and secure the release of remaining hostages. Hundreds of people were taken during the October 7 Hamas-led attack on Israel, with dozens still held in Gaza. In sports, head coach Aliou Zubedu has named a 24-man squad for the Africa Under-20 Cup of Nations holding in Egypt, with Nigeria set to open against Tunisia on May 1. Key players include goalkeeper Ifeanyi Hakat, captain Daniel Bamiyi, Suleiman Alabi Jojo, and highly rated Lillestrøm forward Baropo Erieri. Germany-based Emmanuel Chukwu and Precious Benjamin, Croatia-based Caleb Ocheduku and striker Divine Olise also made the list. The 7-time African champions will depart for Egypt on Sunday and play warm-up matches before the group stage. The Flying Eagles will face Morocco on May 4 and Kenya on May 7. All semi-finalists in Egypt will qualify for the FIFA Under-20 World Cup, scheduled for later this year in Chile. Now, Nigerian chess master Tunde Onakoya has launched a fresh attempt to break the Guinness World Record for the longest chess marathon, aiming for 70 hours of non-stop play at Times Square, New York. The current record stands at 61 hours, held by 2 Norwegian players. Partnering with U.S. national master Sean Martinez, Onakoya begins the challenge on April 17 and will continue until April 20. The event supports his goal of building the largest free school for homeless children in Nigeria through his Chess in Slums Africa initiative. Children trained under the initiative will join briefly, while local players are invited to participate. Onakoya previously set a 60-hour record in April 2024. Carlo Ancelotti's glittering time at Real Madrid could be coming to an end after media reports today claim that the 65-year-old Italian coach will leave after the Copa del Rey final, scheduled for April 26. Real Madrid's elimination in the quarterfinals of the UEFA Champions League could end up defining the future of the coach, who has a contract until 2026. The early departure opens a window of opportunity for the Brazilian Football Confederation, who have continuously been linked with Ancelotti, but had been forced to look at other targets. In his years as Santiago Bernabeu, Ancelotti has won 3 Champions Leagues, 3 European Super Cups, 1 Intercontinental Cup, 2 Club World Cups, and 2 La Liga titles, 2 Copa del Rey's, and 2 Spanish Super Cups. And of course, in the Premier League, Liverpool captain Virgil van Dijk has signed a new 2-year deal committing his future to the club until 2027. The 33-year-old Dutch centre-back's previous contract was set to expire at the end of the season. His extension follows that of teammate Mohamed Salah, who also signed a 2-year renewal last week. Van Dijk, who joined Liverpool from Southampton in 2018, had been linked with a potential move to Paris Saint-Germain, but dismissed those rumors, affirming his desire to stay at Anfield. He expressed pride in continuing with the club, calling it the best place for himself and his family. Van Dijk has been instrumental in Liverpool's recent success, including their 2019 Champions League and 2020 Premier League triumphs.
I'm really blessed, privileged to play for Liverpool FC. Anfield is home. This is the place to be for me, for my family.
And that's a wrap on the news at this hour. But before we go, we'll look at our top stories again. Stakeholders at New Central's political dialogue call for integrity of the electoral process ahead of July 12 local government elections. A Lagos court has freed Quadri Alabi, the young Nigerian who stood before Peter Obi's convoy in a viral 2023 presidential campaign photo. We also told you that the International Committee of the Red Cross says more than 8,000 people were missing in 2024 due to conflict in Sudan. You can send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. And don't forget to follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can equally watch us live on DSTV channel 422, GoTV channel 23, Star Times channel 274, Arvo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Lekon Onobanjo.